Hi, I'm Russell and I work at the Video Store, the place that you can go to every week when you're looking for something to watch. Behind the counter, with my friends, I get to talk about the films and the series that we're loving. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
How's it?
Hey, Russell.
How you, man?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
I'm lekker.
Good.
I'm lekker. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas,
Oh, yeah. And sound like Christmas and smell like Christmas.
which is a very hot and sweaty thing here in Joburg.
Yes.
Welcome to the Video Store. Thank you for wandering in. We've got ourselves a Graeme GeForce Hackney here today.
Hello.
And you've got yourself a Russell. Graeme, you are an editor and the producer of this show.
Yeah.
And my name is Russell. I am the owner of The Bioscope, which is an independent cinema here in Johannesburg, which at the time of this episode coming out
Yes.
is closed. For 2 weeks every
Cool.
year, we take ourselves a much-deserved break because we are open every single day of the year
Yes.
otherwise. And so it's very much for me. I can say that on a platform like this.
Yes.
I need to wake up every day for at least 2 weeks knowing that, like, there's not admin and things
Exactly.
and someone arriving and
There's
do
no
we have
potential disaster on the
the,
horizon.
do we have the film and is everything working
Yes.
and, you know, the load shedding schedule
Yes.
where all of a sudden that came back at one point this year,
Yep.
which just brought this like lump in my stomach. So I kind of just need that. And so at this point, we've got ourselves a lovely break. But we wanted to release this very special guest episode today
Yes.
because it is a film that is currently in cinemas at the time of this release. It would have just come out.
Yes.
It is an animated film called David,
Yeah.
and it is about the story of David and Goliath. But what we'd love you to know, more than anything else, is that this was effectively a South African film.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to largely get lost. Unfortunately, I think this film might get a little bit lost this past weekend because it is
Yes.
up against Avatar.
Avatar. Yep.
But I really think this film is going to live on
Cool.
in its own channels and in its own communities. And
Yes.
it's very much going to be the story of David and Goliath.
Lots of Sunday schools are going to see this one.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm excited to speak with Brent Dawes.
Cool.
I'm shooting for that as the pronunciation of his surname. And these are, this is the team based in Cape Town who've produced Jungle Beat and a whole bunch of really great animation. And I just love that there is this culture of animation in South Africa
Yeah.
that is really award-winning. I mean, we've had Daniel Snadden on the show. We've had the guys that won the Emmy, the
Yes.
International Emmy
Yeah.
for Tabby McTabby Cat, or those Donaldson shorts, which
Yeah.
are just, it's just so cool that South Africans get to partner with those people
Yep.
every year and they make these incredible shorts. So David joins the ranks of all that other great South African animation,
Yeah.
and certainly just deserves you to know that it exists. And if this is a story for you, and obviously a lovely animation, so it can be for the whole family.
Yeah.
It could be a lovely film to watch this Christmas season.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Brent popping in. And then, after the chat, we might, you and me, Graeme, have just a little chat
All
to
right.
talk. But then we're going to take ourselves a break.
Cool.
And just for 1 week,
Yes.
while we all live in that weird little wormhole of it's like the Christmas gooch.
Yes.
It's between
Christmas and New Year's.
it's that weird little gap between
Yeah.
those two where you don't quite know what day it is, and you're certainly not commuting and going to work and listening to your podcast.
Yes.
You should be staring out into the horizon or having a sleep or drinking a gin and tonic.
Yeah.
That's what I think you should be doing. So we will take just 1 week's break.
Cool.
But what will happen, this is all very exciting, is that we're going to hit the ground running in Jan.
Yeah.
So our first episode will come out on Tuesday the 6th.
Cool.
And we are going to have the biggest guest
Yeah.
we've ever had on the show.
Probably.
This is our first Oscar award-winning
Yeah.
director.
Yep.
This is the first filmmaker who's ever helmed a billion-dollar film.
Yep.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge. But it's perhaps a name we don't all know offhand, but the work speaks for themselves. This
Yes.
is a gentleman called Bill Condon.
Yeah.
And I've already had the chat. It's all very exciting. And I'm
Nice.
excited to put it out because his film, Kiss of the Spider Woman, is going to be screening in cinemas,
Yes.
including the Bioscope, from the 9th.
Cool.
Well, the Bioscope's going to start from the 9th.
Yes.
It would have started in cinemas from the 2nd.
Okay.
And we got an opportunity to chat with him, which was
Cool.
very special.
That's cool.
So that is a lovely thing to look forward to. And so we will miss you.
Yeah.
I'll miss you, Graeme.
Only 1 week.
I'll miss you.
We'll live.
Oh. But thank you, everyone, for such a lovely year, and
Yes.
especially hitting our 200 recently.
Exactly.
It was so lovely to see all the response and love for that episode, and just hitting the 200 in general. And yeah, we are going to get going now. This is Brent Dawes popping in to rent something. How's it, Brent?
How's it? Nice to hear
How
this
we-
South Africanness going on.
Yeah, it's sort of. I can't say anything other than how's it. I've tried, but that just
Yeah.
seems to be the sort of instinctual thing, no matter where I am in the world.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Bioscope? Do you know?
I'm actually not. So
Okay,
enlighten me.
you were based in Cape Town, hey?
Yes.
Okay, so to speak in Cape Townian terms, we're a little similar to the Labia in that we are proudly Joburg's independent and alternative cinema space
Okay.
for what's been the last 15 years. And we've got ourselves a lovely gift shop here and a cafe where we serve pizza and cocktails and all sorts. We've just got one cinema room, so unlike the Labia, we've just got the one. And we started the video store as our kind of media outlet, our sort of way to talk about the films that we're watching, that we're loving, especially when we got to a point where television was getting as good as it was. And so we wanted a podcast. And so, yeah, it's been a few years now. We've hit 200 episodes. We've won a few podcast awards.
Amazing.
But what we really enjoy the most is speaking to someone like yourself and getting to understand, at least to some degree, what it takes to do the job that you do. So that the folks who enjoy listening can get a good sense of what a animator or animation director does or what a sound designer does.
Yeah.
The real ins and outs in the day-to-days.
The nitty gritty.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think we all have this idea of what it could be, and there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that you've got to be okay with. There's certain kind of mental health things that you need from your side. So yeah, I think let's just dive into it. And of course, the main thing that we're talking about today is David. Where are you at right now? It is on the cusp of release.
Yeah.
When does it hit cinemas?
On Friday the 19th.
Friday the 19th. You're going up against Avatar.
Nothing like life imitating art. David versus Goliath, right?
What a fantastic analogy. That is, it couldn't be further from that, because, that is going to be this box office juggernaut, but let's have this other film, coming out at the same time really shine in its own way. I think the most exciting thing about it, and I want us to obviously unpack, is the fact that it is this South African product.
Mm.
So, is it going to see? When is its international timing? Is it
Same.
same time?
It's releasing in the States, Canada, Australia, South Africa, a few other places, all on the 19th, and then a rollout in the rest of the world in the subsequent weeks. Yeah.
It's so exciting. How long has this dominated your life? That's always a
11
nice
years.
place to start.
11 years for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was the TV show before that, right? Before this product.
So you're talking about the David Shorts, the young David Shorts.
Yes.
Yeah. So that happened during this, really. So the film was the first thing that we started. I wrote the first draft of that in 2014. That was used to try and raise some money to get the product to get some momentum going. So Phil, who's the studio owner and co-director, managed to get funding for a demo for the movie. So we did a 5-minute short. That was in 2017. Then we actually, on the back of that, then got funding for the movie, which kickstarted in 2019. But COVID had other plans for us.
Sure.
So we lost the momentum with that bunch of funding. But the short that we had created garnered enough interest that another streaming platform called Minnow, a small Christian streaming service in the States, and they loved the David Short, but they didn't have significant budget to help us make a movie. But they were like, "What can we make some shorts for our streaming platform?" So that's where the 5 young David Shorts came in. So they funded that, and it was great for us because it was during a bit of a pause of the feature film. It gave us a chance to play in the world a little bit as well, develop the world a little bit more, tell some more stories within that. And then funding kicked in again for the feature film, and we went straight from the shorts into the feature, which was great.
Okay. And dialing back 11 years ago, what was that seed? Why that story? So
this began for me 11 years ago, but it began for Phil 37 years ago. It was
interesting.
So he's had it in his heart to make a movie on David since he said when it came to me, he was canoeing down the Zambezi in Zim. So he's from Zim, I'm also from Zim. And he said he was so inspired by nature, by the expansiveness of it's where he says he really fell in love with God. And he said he knew the scripture that says, "I found in David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart." And he was like, "Oh,
I'm losing you a little. Sorry, our connection's not amazing."
Shame. I was going to do this at the studio, but they're shutting all the servers down for maintenance because of the public holiday. So I'm at home, and it's not as the signal's not as great.
Okay, maybe this will help the bandwidth, which you just just dial back to. He's on the river.
Zambezi. Yeah,
he's on the Zambezi, and he can, and he's reminded of a certain scripture. Can you just carry on from there?
Yeah, sure thing. So Phil was the scripture came to mind for him of that. It says in Acts, "I found in David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart," and from that moment, Phil was like, "Oh, well, I want to tell a story about this guy." And he actually, that was sort of almost the thing that inspired him to actually start a film studio, a studio to eventually one day get to this point. So for him, it's been a 37-year journey. For me, 11, because he was originally going to do it as a live action like Gladiator or Braveheart. But it was 11 years ago that his wife and also one of our producers said, "Phil, why don't we, because we'd only done animation to that point." And they were like, "Well, why don't you do David as an animation?" And he was like, "Oh, actually, that's a fantastic idea because it just opens up the audience all the more because animation reaches so far and wide, And then he said to me, he's like, "Brent, what do you think? Can you do David as an animation?" I was like, "Absolutely, let's go." So that was
one can just play a bit more, and you can be a bit more fantastical, and you can be a bit more expressive, and
wonderful. Yeah,
you guys have had your history together with the Jungle Beat films,
yes.
Hey?
Yeah.
Okay, I know of them. I've never watched them, but those are obviously lovely stories about animals in the jungle.
Yeah,
they obviously. How would you encapsulate them?
Sorry, say again.
how would you encapsulate them? I mean, are we learning early childhood development lessons?
No,
What are we achieving with
it's
those?
really just it's just a wonderful sort of monkey and elephant friendship in the jungle, and it's fun, playful, warm-hearted, just sort of safe, younger, not super young, but younger family entertainment. And like I made it Jungle Beat with a view to parents being able to watch it with their kids, because I had 4 kids, and it's quite painful watching some kids' content.
I'm sure, yeah.
It's made for kids. So Jungle Beat's got enough in there that adults will enjoy. There's kind of like a little bit of, Scrat from Ice Age.
Yeah.
It was a little bit inspired by that, sort of just.
But you had the ability to be quite localized with those, right? They were quite African stories. Is that right?
Well, African in that they're African animals,
Yeah.
For the most part, Jungle Beat is dialogue free, and that's why it's like Scrat. We've done 2 feature films of that now where they do speak. But so African in that they are in Africa.
Yeah, sure.
But absolutely accessible worldwide, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then what is this relationship like now that you get brought in? I always find it interesting that with animation more than live action, you often do have a partnership in the directing helm. How do you guys delegate? What were you brought in that Phil needed that he couldn't do himself?
Okay, so historically, the way that our relationship has worked is, so Phil is the outward focused one, sort of the studio visionary, and so he goes out, gets the relationships to get funding, and get the product out there. He sort of sends me. He's like, so I'm sort of the creative. I'm sort of his creative right hand man. So up until David,
that almost sounds like he's more of the producer, right?
Yeah, that has traditionally been our relationship. But David was so close to him that he was like, Brent, because he hadn't directed before this. So
okay.
So this is much more him saying he just wanted to know that he had the room and a significant creative seat at the table, because this has been his brain, what he's been wanting to do for the last 30 years. So he leaned. It wasn't traditionally split up like you would if there's 2 co-directors. Okay, you take this, you take that. It was pretty much me sort of carrying on doing what I do at Sunrise, which is the creative and directing leadership. And the way that I'd say Phil was involved is more like almost like an executive director, where he had I would create the briefs and do majority of the notes and things. Phil would be in as many of those as he could, but also remember he had a lot to do outward facing, even during the making of this, with funding, with a lot of other things. But this was so important to him that wherever he could, he touched in. And because we've got such a good relationship, I know what he's wanting, so I can run with that. Whenever I felt a little bit unsure, I would take him something. I say, Phil, I need you to come and look at this. You be the decider. So it's not like a typical relationship like you'd get in Disney, where you're running with animation, I'm going to run with the art. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. And then I guess what's funny about animation is that it's not as simply structured, where you're shooting, you're then editing. You kind of are doing everything at the same time in some regards, right?
It's making movies in slow motion.
Interesting. Can you elaborate on that? It's a lovely idea. It's a lovely expression. What do you mean by that?
So in live action, if you're casting, you send out a casting brief, you get a whole bunch of photos, and then you go through them, and then you shortlist it, and you film a few guys. In animation, you've got to draw all the options. It's not as quick as just going through a bunch of photos. You've got to. So you actually start with, here's some photographic reference of the type of guy we're looking for. Then you brief the artists, and then they start drawing quite loosely, and you find the essence of something. So it takes you a long time to find the photo of the person that you like, right? Once you've, in inverted commas, got the photo of the person you like, which is now a 2D piece of concept art, you now have to create them in 3D. You have to draw them from all angles, draw their different expressions, because that thing can't emote itself. So you're going at it at a snail's pace, and just slowly building your actor, which touches multiple departments. And that's pretty much it across the board in animation, is that everything needs to be made and created, and then made able to move, and also be made able to be lit and rendered and what have you. So that's why I say it's in slow motion. And the one thing about that, so it's incredibly like labor intensive and time intensive, but it also gives you micro control on what you're creating. Whereas if you're on a live action set, you can't sort of say, well, can we move that grass over there? Or can we turn this tree slightly, or can we scale the tree up or down? That's the wonderful control that you've got in animation, is that you really can, once you've created the things and been so meticulous within that, then you can do little nudges and put tweaks that you can't do in live action, or let me say you can't do easily in live action.
Without a whole big reshoot. I'll never forget watching behind the scenes on, I think, Finding Nemo, where they were doing a viewing where they all got into a cinema room and they watched the footage of this one scene, and they felt it just sort of didn't hit an emotional level, and so they sent that animator sort of back, and he filmed himself filming himself on a webcam so that he could see what his eyebrows and frown lines were doing, so that he could accentuate this moment, and so he made it more emotional. And it's just so lovely that you can do that, as opposed to everything being right and your actor just not nailing it on the day, and you sort of can't quite carry on, and you can't quite make the person cry more. And so there's obviously such a challenge for that. What is your favorite process? I mean, what is your favorite part of the process? If I were to sort of put you back in any time of David, where would you be your most happy?
Where I flow the most is when it is a little bit more immediate. So when I'm doing, so I wouldn't say I enjoy this the most, but it flows really well, is the voice recording sessions, because at that point it is live action, because you're dealing with a human, and they are saying the lines, and I can direct that with immediacy. Can we try that again? Can we, so that's a little bit more live action. And then I also love when it gets to animation. I'd say that's my sweet spot, is directing the animators. It's quite something to consider, that actually, so when you're watching, so in a live action movie, the same actor is the same actor through the movie, right? But in animation, we've got over 50 animators, and they're all touching all of the characters, so
that's a good point.
It's quite something so that's when you've got to have, so our animation director, Dan Barker, was fantastic. We had some amazing animation supervisors as well, but you've got to, this is where you as the director really have to hold in your mind, who is this character, and make sure there's a consistency throughout all the shots, there's probably 1,700 shots in the movie, all touched by 50 different people, all very slowly, doing 4 seconds a week. It's quite something to to try and get the character feeling the same all the way through. And then my last thing you say, which is my favorite thing, I absolutely love when the orchestra is recording the score. And I think, again, because it's the immediacy of it, and it's also one step removed, I get to, because a lot of the work has been done by that point. And when the orchestra plays, again, it's immediate. You can hear it, you feel it. Obviously, there's mixing to do, but I just love that process, just sitting back and listening to them create magic. And I think it's also because I can't do what they do, so it's a little bit more magical for me.
That's lovely. When I was watching David, there was a screener that was given, which was great. Obviously, the moment this movie starts, I'm like, this is a technical accomplishment and marvel in terms of its quality of animation, and then when the songs started, I was like, and it's a musical, which just is like one more significantly difficult piece to your product. It's like, it's one thing to, tell the story with all its complexities and, how faithful you might be to the Bible or how much you want to add or change and do. The technical difficulty of making a animation that can rival any, big, huge Pixar studio. Yeah. And then on top of that, the music. Was Jungle Beat music, just by virtue of its name? Sorry, forgive my ignorance.
You'd think so, but no.
Okay. How do you even approach the music? Did that come from the guy who played David, voice, Phil Wickman? Because I see he was a composer. Did he have involvement?
Phil Wickham wasn't a composer on it. Well, he's got one song in the credits, which wasn't written specifically for the movie. It just sort of was a fit.
Okay.
But
how do you go about making a musical?
So the nice thing to me about David being a musical is it's intrinsic to the story, in that David was a musician, and that is how he actually came to be in Saul's presence. Saul was troubled. He sent for all the musicians in the land to try and find someone who could soothe him, and David was the only person that could. So David had something special about him, and so clearly music. And David himself, in the Bible, calls himself Israel's singer of songs. So it absolutely is there in the source material that this guy needs
to be filled with music. Yeah,
is a singer. Not only that, he uses music, A, to soothe Saul, B, as a form of communication with God, because he wrote more than half of the Psalms, and a lot of those Psalms are not friendly. It's like complaining. It's like, God, why have you forsaken me? And there's a lot of complaining. There's a lot of soul searching and real raw honesty within the Psalms. So it actually, even though we had no experience actually in musicals or anything like that, but the story so lent itself to that and was so part of it. And what I really lent into is that, because I'm not the biggest fan of when you're watching an animated movie and suddenly the character starts singing when they're walking down the street and you're like, why are you singing? That's weird. Do you know what I mean? But in our movie, David, he sings to calm his sheep. He sings to process. He sings to calm Saul. There's always a story reason there's a song. So it kind of, seemed to flow quite naturally.
And what is your first step in that? You got to find a composer to write this music, and I mean that must take a long time as well. Who do you even look to first for that?
So again, it was a couple of steps process. To start with, one of our producers has a wonderful friend, Jonas Myron, who's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter. So in the development phase, we got him in, and he wrote a bunch of songs, which was fantastic. And one of his songs made it into the final movie, which is the first song in the movie, is the adventure song. But as we started to develop the story more, we needed people to explore other songwriters who are able to sort of really work with story and be a little bit more malleable. And so we got amazing music producer Jason Halbert, who is sorry for the stumbling. It's Kelly Clarkson's music producer, and he and his wife are a producing team. They handle the gambit of creative to legal, and they were huge for us in terms of helping us navigate this process. So they helped us find a bunch of songwriters. They said, Brent, you need to do us a video brief of a couple of songs you need written. We're going to send that out. You're going to listen to all of those. Then you select which ones you like. Then we're going to get you in the room with the ones you like. And so it was a whole process. And again, talking about casting earlier, this was casting for our songwriters. So I did this video brief, sent it out, got 36 songs back from 18 different writing pairs. We whittled that down to 5 writing pairs. I then went to Nashville and did a writer's camp with them, where I gave them a really deep dive brief and gave them notes on their songs. That then whittled down to 2 writing pairs who ended up writing on the movie, which is Molly Kate Kessner and Brock Monroe. That's a husband and wife writing team, and Chad Carruthers and Ryan Shirley, who are friends, and they're another writing pair. So between them, they wrote the songs for the movie. Yeah.
You said you went to Nashville.
Yeah.
It's quite a place, eh?
So yeah, it was so great.
I really appreciated Nashville, and it's amazing how much and how the music world presents itself. I thought Broadway, which is their sort of street of bars and honky tonks, I thought they would be overwhelmingly big. I thought they would be like Vegas, like this sort of huge strip, but it's actually it's a little road. You can almost sort of see the end of it from the top, and just this culture of live music. But then I appreciated going to the Country Music Hall of Fame and going to some of those studios and just getting a sense of how the history of that town was all about music, but specifically the song and the writing. And so it's so cool that in 2020, whatever we're dealing with, that the idea of songwriting and that the machine of music making has still got a hub in a place like Nashville.
It was so great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It just lives and breathes music.
Yeah, we took a. Did you get a chance to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame?
I didn't have too much time there, but no.
For a little bit extra, you can go to this one particular studio, and it's a little outside. So you got to get a bus, and this bus takes you to this. It's called like Studio 75 or 78 or something. But once you're inside, you see all the songs that were recorded inside that particular studio, and it's a lot of Elvis Presley and Ray Charles, and and the piano that Ray Charles played is there. You can play it. It's very cool.
Amazing.
So the economy of Christianity in America, I'd imagine, is significant.
Seems to be.
more so there than many other parts of the world. What are you guys expecting, or what kind of a rollout, or what kind of an economy is sort of being lined up for you? Does that make sense? Are you going to do much press over there? Are you going to travel there?
So
do we have some premieres lined up? Well, I'd imagine there's something.
We actually am presently overcoming the jet lag from getting back now from the premiere. We just had the premiere there last week.
Where were you?
We were in Utah. It was in
interesting.
Just near Salt Lake City, because that's where Angel Studios is. That's the studio that ultimately has bought David and is distributing it. And so you talk about the Christian economy. What we're really, it's been a tricky one to navigate, because we absolutely have went about making this movie for a world audience. We didn't want to make this just a Christian movie for Christians. That's not what it's about. The way we've sort of spoken about it is like, look, there's been so many superhero movies these days, and your comic book fans are the ones that are most passionate about the superhero movies. But if you haven't read a comic, you can still go and enjoy the movies. So that's kind of how we approach this. The Christian audience are our comic book fans, and we need to make sure that we honor the source material, but we absolutely want to make it palatable for a world audience. But that said, the Christian media is really growing significantly in the States. And so I think Angel's first sort of their main thrust has been just making sure that the Christian, like the comic book fans, are activated, and that they will then tell all their friends,
Sure. And Angel Studios, I mean, is the one that is the mountaintop in terms of this kind of film and this kind of content, because they have really shown, in a world, and I think this is just interesting for anyone in general, that in a world where cinema going in general is being challenged and is not necessarily doing the numbers that it used to, and certain films not doing well anymore, but certain films rising or certain economies rising, the activation of a more Christian-themed content through the likes of Angel Studios has been doing very well and has been growing. It's the same as, like, ironically, horror. Almost the complete opposite end of the scale. Like, those are doing well in cinemas because of perhaps its community or being together in one room or, you know, the thrill and excitement. So it's just been interesting. And Angel Studios have very much been proactive and quite, I don't know what the word is, but they've got these systems where you can pay for other people to go and watch, and like they're really trying to innovate and sort of shake things up a little bit. Mobilize, I guess, is a good word. Yeah,
Phil says he loves Angel because they zig when the world zags. You know, they're really trying a whole bunch of things to make sure that it gets out in many different ways, and so. Their team has been so on it the last couple of months because it's not been long since they actually got the rights to distribute David. You know, it's been less than 3 months, and they just said we're releasing in December and we're going. You know, 10 weeks.
Really?
And,
hey?
Yeah, it's been
as short as 3 months.
But it's suited their style, and and so a couple of things I'll say about the way they've gone about it is they set up a platform where you can go and pre-book tickets before it's even in a cinema. So you're not parting with your money, but they've got the whole network of cinemas in the States available on that. And what they're doing is getting people to sort of pre-book to show interest in this. And then they're going to those cinemas saying, look, we've already pre-sold 50 tickets in your cinema. You need to get this movie in there, you know?
It's radical. I mean, and so many other people could learn from this, whether it's any kind of niche or any kind of special. Let's call it special interests.
I think it's always a case to say, like, to encourage people. Like, yes, things are done a certain way, but they don't have to be. And like, see what else you can do. I mean, the one, like, we've already got over 1 million tickets pre-sold for in the States, and one of our guys that works with us just sent me a text this morning. He said 100,000 tickets were sold yesterday for David, and it's that's quite something to sell 100,000 tickets.
That's amazing.
A week out, you know. So by the time it launches on Friday, I'd be surprised if we haven't pre-sold 2 million tickets, which is significant, you know.
That's amazing, man. And so who ultimately put up the biggest chunk of money? I mean, who's hoping to recoup the most? Because if it wasn't Angel money, who were the big guys that were able to invest in this?
So there I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay. Interesting.
Because if Phil was here, so that's again, so he's kind of, so I kind of know the headlines of a bunch of things, but he's the one that's had to navigate all of that and would be able to tell you about that. But so I can't.
No, got you. I just think it's amazing that whoever did invest is excited to hear that they're going to get some return, which is amazing. And I think also what's lovely is that you get to you're not just it's not just a random story. It's the story, and so you also get excited, or at least I do. I get excited by the idea that this film can play forever.
Yeah,
and it can be enjoyed by churches around the world forever. Because if they ever get to tell the story of David at some point, let's pretend in a sort of youth group, they can wheel out the projector and screen the movie. And so it's like you get to be the people that told the story. Because I don't think there's been many versions of it, right? Are there?
No, very much so. When we started making this, we were like, how has no one made? Because if you said to people, so everyone. I say everyone, most people know about Prince of Egypt, you know?
Yeah. But even with David and Goliath, we all just know the moment.
Exactly.
where the
That was
two
a-
of them stood in the
Yeah.
field. But that's 1 hour into your movie. There is still there's still
so
a
much
second hour.
There's so much more movie. There's so much more story. And as we were making it, we were like, how has no one made the definitive version of the story? It's been sitting there for 3,000 years. Cinema's been
Yeah.
around a long time. There's been a handful. And as we did our research, there's nothing that was. So the way we said about this, like, let's make the David, so that when people hear David, they picture our movie, And again, beyond the churches, we absolutely want this to be on the shelves of, non-Christian families as well. It's a wonderful, inspiring story, whether you have faith or not.
Thanks. I know. I very much get that, and sorry if I'm
No.
pigeonholing it into the Christian world, but I think what is worth commending is that, as you said, your definitive story, but with animation especially, you're able to get into quite a lot of detail to make it as authentic as possible. It was cool to read about how you added the extra digits on Goliath's hands and made his skin pale to sort of match what is actually written in the Bible.
Yeah,
because if there's one thing I'm old enough so that my high school syllabus still had the sort of the death rattle of a sort of religious studies. I think they stopped it sort of within my high school time, where there was a teacher, there was a classroom, and we did Bible studies in our normal Model C school. I went to Bryanston High. And if there was one shocking thing I got from my... we actually all loved that subject the most, because it kind of blew our minds once a week, where you read the Bible and you go, that's how they describe these creatures in heaven or angels, and they're not what your youth group Bible studies showed. There was a lot more darkness and crazy kind of fantasy to these stories, with animals with eyes all over their bodies, and like the original, the Bible description of angels it's quite haunting.
Not that. It's like, I don't think I want to see one of those.
It's quite something. So I'm assuming you are quite religious yourself. How does that all tie in or fit in?
Yeah, religious isn't the word for me. But,
what is the word?
A seeker.
Okay.
So my faith journey is a whole nother story. So I was a very enthusiastic born again Christian in my early 20s. Recognized sort of late 20s, early 30s that a lot of the way that I was entering into that was kind of performance based. I was sort of, I was doing the right thing, saying the right thing, sort of, but I didn't really feel the it wasn't impacting or affecting my life in a way that I felt the Bible was saying it would. And so I really started to question, so I've gone on a whole faith journey, which has been really interesting. Like really questioning, well, is there a God? If I do all these things, like, I don't want to do a parrot fashion thing. Bible talks about having a relationship, and that's what I want. And a relationship is a two-way street. God, feel like I've been talking. I'm going to be quiet now so you can talk. And so really allowing the space, because my desire is to have a true and authentic relationship with God. I don't want to manufacture one, and I don't want to fool myself into thinking one because I'm doing all the right things, So would I call myself a Christian? Yes. But would I call myself religious? Definitely not. But again, I'm on a journny, which I feel.
And I think that's it. I think just by virtue of being on a journey, I was one of those people that went in rather sort of God-fearing as a high school kid, where we did spend a lot of Friday nights at a youth group, maybe more primary school than high school. And I think those are interesting because it sort of has you. The moment you can start questioning, you are questioning and you're challenging. And then I'll never forget being in university and being lucky enough to be in a forest in Finland, where the magical light in spring season, coming summer, shines through this forest in such a way that you hear that many early Finnish people believe that trees are possess something, and they sort of believed in the trees. And I was like, I get that. I can see that. And so for me, God's in the wind and in the trees and in the way that we talk to each other. It's not as simple as what is exactly written in the words.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's a nice journey that one should always sort of be on. I when I found the word agnostic, I was like, okay, that's quite a good word that kind of explains it. I'm not empty inside, that nothing exists. I do believe in some magic. I'm just not quite sure what it looks like and how we can, whether one should even prove it or not. No, it's fascinating. But yeah, I think this has been a lovely chat. I don't want to take up more of your time. I'm excited to see it out there. I'm excited to be sharing the fact, being one more outlet that's telling people it's a South African product.
Yeah, it's one thing. Thank you.
Because pretty much, in the production wheel, apart from some Nashville songwriters, most of the team is South African, right? Is that correct?
Well, I would say more than half. So, but we did have a significant. This project had an incredible gravity to it. It's always actually felt, from the moment that Phil mentioned it to me, it's always felt like a project that's time had come and that was meant to be. And every time we spoke to someone about it, they were like, yes. And there was this hunger to be a part of it. And I think actually a lot of people in your Disney's, Pixar, DreamWorks have gotten jaded with the way they're making movies and their storytelling. They're like, it's become very corporate, very boardroom led,
and it's like, what if cars had feelings? What if feelings had feelings? What if?
There's a lot of people out there that are like, no, we don't want to, like, these stories that we're currently telling aren't reaching the depth. This is not why I got into the industry, And so people, as I started to hear about this project, we literally had people leaving Pixar and Disney and DreamWorks to join us on this project, which was incredible for us because we needed the level up from Jungle Beat to what we did with David was significant, and so we needed to get skilled people from around the world to help shepherd. We've got incredibly talented people locally, and what was amazing was some of the people that we found came in with such a heart of mentoring and upskilling that like I think of Dave Wolfart, our DOP, who was from more than 20 years at DreamWorks, came in. He took our lighting and comp team under his wing, and he absolutely took them on a journey to empower them to be the world-class talent that they have that they're able to be. They just need the opportunity and to be fast-forwarded with the knowledge. So.
That's exciting.
So I definitely say this is a South African product, but absolutely significantly supported and held up by a lot of international people. There were over 27 countries were represented in making this movie. Just quite something.
How with you as the director, how many people did you feel underneath you? I mean, what's a stab at your team?
So at its peak, there were about 250 working at any one time, but over the course of it was 400 or 500 people. And again, with animation, because it's so long and slow and you've got such specialized departments, the director doesn't deal with, every artist.
Everyone, yeah, sure.
So I will deal with the supervisors and team leads and what have you. But yeah, close on
That's
500 people throughout the production.
It's amazing, man. But listen, well done. Congratulations on it. I'm sure in many ways after 11 years, it's a relief in a nice sense of the term to have it be released and put out there into the world. And you've certainly got something that you can be very proud of. And despite the green aliens or blue aliens, this is something that, as we are talking about, will find its audience and will live on in so many different ways. And so that's very exciting. So I wish you guys the best for the release and the rollout. And and it was lovely to be able to chat to you.
Thank you so much. I'm just so appreciate
thanks for
you
the time.
supporting us as well. It's so lovely to have South Africans championing, like what we're doing, which is fantastic.
No,
so
of course.
Really
and I think if you do find yourself in Joburg with some time, perhaps you can reach out as soon as you can, and perhaps we'd lovely to. It would be great to have a screening where you are speaking or are able to do some kind of Q&A.
Our producers lives in Joburg, so you could Rita. So you could do a thing with her.
That could be great. But also just yourself, just with us through the video store, having a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Anything down the line for any kind of animation conversation could be great.
Sure thing. I'm up for it.
Lovely. Thank you, Brent. Cool. Thanks for your time today. We'll hopefully see you down the road.
Thanks so much. So appreciate it.
All right. Cheers, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Lekker chat.
Good.
And I love how he's got this story of David and Goliath.
Yes.
And he was literally the David up against Goliath.
The Avatar.
The Avatar film. At the time of this recording, Graeme, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
Avatar.
No.
I got a chance to go to an exhibitor screening.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring it up in our 200, but there was an embargo.
Oh, right.
So I couldn't really get into it. And I'm always afraid I'm going to screw that up.
Yes.
I'm always afraid I'm going to Mark Ruffalo it.
Right.
But it's out there.
Yeah.
It's 3.5 hours. This is Avatar we're talking about. And I think it perfectly encapsulates how for me, it was my sort of 2 lines to you guys when I came out of the screening, which was like, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's a solid fucking Avatar movie. If you've watched all the others and loved them, you would like this.
Cool.
To the point where it's like same.
Yes.
It is painfully same. And I think I agree with some of the other commentators that it could have been tighter.
Right.
Just because it's not giving you this like crazy nuanced story. Like it is basically a chase.
Yes.
For 3.5 hours.
All
so
right.
like quite a lot of could have been trimmed.
Okay.
But I think it is deserving to watch in IMAX in that 3D, which you don't see much of these days. Just to see the true spectacle of cinema in all its glory. There was one of those like what a time to be alive while watching it. But will it live on, and will the names and the characters and the lore like be etched into our culture?
Who knows?
Perhaps not.
Yeah.
As we've seen from the other two.
Yeah.
It's like they're the highest grossing films of all time, but they're not something we like have a deep fandom over.
Yes.
Well, not all of us.
Yeah.
Not in the ways like Star Wars, for example. But I look forward to you seeing it, Graeme, because there's just these shots and moments that are just so spectacularly put together.
Right.
And after 3 hours, it is such a journey that you really do give a shit at the end when certain things happen, but it is painfully same.
Right.
Like, fucking so same.
Right.
But what you'd appreciate is we are on the most distant of planet, yet these young kids all sound like Gen Alphas. Calling each other bro. Yo, bro. Cuz. so
So are
it's
these
so
Jake's
off-putting.
kids?
These are Jake's kids. So
I
they've
guess
grown.
they've picked up his vernacular.
But
I
he doesn't
suppose.
speak like that,
He kind of does in the first one.
does he?
Yeah.
I just don't know how these like little alien kids, thousands of light years away, call each other bro.
Yeah. Or whatever bro is in their language.
But this is them speaking English.
They're not speaking English though. They're speaking their language, and we just hear it in English. They do that thing in the first in Avatar 2. They do that thing. They do it in movies quite often where they start speaking in a different language,
the Chernobyl
and then
thing.
it like fades. Exactly, it like fades into English.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. That makes sense. But it's still like it just does feel a little weird.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good old Hollywood picture.
Yeah. It's James Cameron.
Yeah.
He does what he does.
He does what he does. Lekker. Thank you, my G-Force.
Cool.
Thank you for a lovely day.
Yes.
And have yourselves a Merry Christmas.
Exactly.
And a Happy New Year
Yeah.
for everyone. And look forward to opening up the shop again
Yeah.
in the new year.
We'll see you in 2026.
Lovely. I'll check you next year. Cheers.
Bye-bye.